Now, first I want to go back to Revelation chapter 6 and read, start at verse 7. And when he had opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth beast say, Come and see. And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him. And power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth, to kill with the sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth. It says hell followed after him. Beasts are soldiers, peoples who went against the covenant of God. And a fourth part of the earth. Hell followed. Hell is nuclear weapons. Weapons having nuclear capabilities. What this was, man having gone and found out that there was no reviving of the system. Throughout the conquest of this race of peoples, as it had marched to the breadth of the earth, conquering and to conquer, and slaying the peoples, the population of the earth was exploding through his policies. In order to create an industrialized world, an effective industrialized world, it encourages overbreeding, overpopulation in the earth. It was his policies that did this. But through an exploitation while he was doing this, in the name of peace, causing men to worship the works of his hand, and they were thinking that they was going in the way of prosperity, yet everything they did was vanity. Same fulfilling the prophecy of Solomon when he spoke concerning these matters through his prophecy. The wisdom, he was talking about this nation in time as other prophets before him. Well, what had happened? The United Nations, the richest nation of the earth. God showed you in Revelation, Genesis, and Daniel chapter 2, that they had no power. They had to depend on the poor peoples to kill each other, just because in the head had no power. The leaders who lead the poor peoples had no power. And neither the poor peoples was the one had the power. But when he get the poor people to believe in there is a better day ahead, if he takes certain measures, at the end of the day, they exploit them, and the one that he had used the most, and when their eyes began to open, they the ones end up in the prisons and in the graveyards. This is the way it is, because the devil don't want his secret to be revealed. Excuse me. Yep, this cranberry juice I have to drink is pretty good. Anyway, he used this great exploitation. Now, the chart here that I got out of created and made, spoken of in Revelation chapter 11. I'll go back there because I got to come back and explain this more thoroughly, because it has, I'm going to read this here. Revelation chapter 11, that's where this chart came from. And there was given me a reed like unto a rod, and the angel stood saying, Rise and measure the temple of God. All of this land that God gave to Abraham becomes the temple, complete temple of God. This is the court of the temple because it's the outer edge of the boundaries of the land mass that God gave to Abraham. It said, rise and measure the temple of God and the altar, and them that worship therein. But the court which is without the temple leave out. Don't measure the court that is without the temple, that is not of the temple, Jerusalem. Leave out, and measure it not, for it is given unto the Gentiles, and the holy city shall they tread underfoot 42 months. And I will give power unto my 2 witnesses. He said there's 2 witnesses. I am one of them. They shall prophesy 1,203 days, clothed in sackcloth. These are 2 olive trees and the 2 candlesticks standing before the God of the earth. And if any man will hurt them, fire proceedeth out of their mouth, and devours their enemies. And if any man will hurt them, he must in this manner be killed. These have power to shut heaven, that it rain not in the days of their prophecy, and have power over the waters to turn them to blood, and to smite the earth with all plagues as often as they will. And when they shall have finished their testimony, the beast that ascended out of the bottomless pit, which is hell, Hades, that's the rep, and they're in the pale horse, said hell fall after, shall make war against them, and shall overcome them and kill them, and their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified. And they of the peoples, and kindreds and tongues and nations shall see their dead bodies 3 days and a half. 3 days and a half. That's a signal that's spoken throughout the Bible prophet. And shall not suffer their dead bodies to be put in graves, and they that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice over them, and make merry, and shall send gifts one to another, because these 2 prophets tormented them that dwelt on the earth. 2 prophets. It's another prophet here somewhere. I said I am one of them that dwelt on the earth. And after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from God entered into them, and they stood up on their feet, and grieved, and great fear fell upon them which saw them. And they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, Come up higher. And they ascended up to heaven in a cloud, and their enemies beheld them. A great earthquake beheld them. Stop right there. Now, these are the parts to come. There is no stopping this from happening. We're getting ready to send 30 more thousand troops or more in this war that's not going to end. This is the court of God. This is where all the crude oil is. And the mindset of the Gentiles, through their demeanor and their lack of wisdom, they only God they serve is the God of the labors war. Now, by all the crude oil in here, and China speaking the way they spoke the other day in the summit meeting, and the way they spoke in 1972 during the World Trade Organization, they know that China is not going to sit out and see them come over here and exploit all these poor peoples and take their crude oil.